Good morning, my dear students, and a very warm welcome to all of you in this e-learning program. Welcome to Science by Harsha ma'am. Friends, in our today's session, we are going to work on the next lesson and the last lesson of biology, that is improvement in food resources. Now, the lesson that we are going to start on, that is improvement in food resources. So now let's start on with this lesson. As you already know, we are talking about improvement in food resources. So we are going to talk about food in this particular lesson. Yes, we are not going to talk about your favorite, that is junk food. We are going to talk about the basic cereals, vegetables, and the other sources from which we are getting the food. So let's start on with this lesson. As we have done, why do we fall ill? From the assignment in the same way. This lesson is going to be done from assignment. Keep the assignment with you. Now let's start on with the introduction. What is food? Food is the combination of various organic as well as inorganic substances which are capable of providing us energy. Then proper it is providing the growth for material for proper growth, material for proper repair or replacement of the worn out tissues, and all the regulatory substance and all the things that are needed for all the metabolic activities. जो भी चीज़ें हैं हमें कैसे पॉसिबल होता है, हाउ इज़ अवर livelihood possible just because we are eating. So food is providing us all the things, and that's why we are able to stay a healthy life. If food is not taken in proper way, like for example the nutrients which are necessary and essential for us, if they are not taken properly, then ultimately there can be a problem. So here it is. Now, depending on the food, uh, if we talk about the various ways, first of all, agriculture. Agriculture, this word is derived from the word agar and culture. Agar means field, and culture means cultivation. So, it is the biological science that is dealing with the production of plants and raising the animals that are useful to men, which is involving soil cultivation, breeding, and management of crops and livestock. Then comes horticulture. Horti means garden and culture means again to cultivate. So it is a branch of agriculture that is dealing with growing vegetables, fruits, and the ornamental plants. Next is civic culture. That means the culture belonging to the wood and trees. So properly if the trees are grown, then that is coming under the civic culture. Is the cultivation of the wood and trees, example is pine, teak wood, etc. The next part is the sources of food. Plants provide us foods like cereals, pulses of seeds, fruits and vegetables. On the basis of it, we can divide the plants as into 9 parts. Among them, the very first one is the cereal crop. What is coming under the cereals? Wheat, rice, maize, millets, all this are coming under cereals. Uh, what do we get when we eat all the cereals? We get carbohydrates in large quantity. Then comes pulses. If we talk about pulses, then tuver, mung, then gram, there is chana, pea, that is matar. All these things, they are very much rich in protein. So, if we talk about all the cereals, then they are rich in carbohydrates, and all the pulses, they are rich in proteins. Then comes oil seeds. crops: soybean, groundnut, sunflower, sesame, castor, mustard, etc. They are very much rich in oils and fatty acids. The next part is the root crops, that is carrot, turmeric, sweet potato, ginger. It is used as a vegetable and also as medicine. Then comes sugar crops, that is sugarcane as well as beet. They are very much useful in the wine industry. Fiber crops, that is the jute and cotton. How are they useful in? You all are knowing they are used for making clothes. Next is plantation crops, that is tea, coffee, coconut, and rubber. These are expensive ones, and uh, more proportion of you can say uh, money is obtained on selling them. So it is also called as cash crops. After that, we have fodder crops, that is barsim, maize, sorghum, and elephant grass. What will they provide? Fodder for animals. Horticulture crops, that is fruits and vegetables. You can write any number of fruits and vegetables name you know. They are providing vitamins, minerals, and small quantity of proteins and carbohydrates and oils. So, if we talk about the nutrients which are very much necessary, then it is carbohydrates, protein, proper amount of the carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, nutrients, proteins. They are needed for the upliftment and for the growth of the body. The next particular topic which we are going to do right now is the crop season. Now, how can we say about the different types of crop season? The different types of crop seasons are depending on the climatic conditions, like the temperature. Photo period. Photo means doesn't mean kitne click liye hain. Photo over here it means light, because light is made up of photons. So how much amount of time the light is required for any particular plant, on that basis it is done. Next is the completion of life cycle. On that basis, the entire crop seasons are bifurcated. Depending upon the growing season, they are bifurcated into two groups, that is Kharif crop and Rabi crop. If it is grown in the monsoon season, then it is Kharif, and if it is grown during winter season, then it is Rabi crop. Now you are knowing that rainy season is warm also and wet season also. So while in winter it is cold weather, you are knowing the duration of the rainy season. About it starts from about June and ends to till September. In the same way over here, it is sown in June, July to September, October. While if we talk about Rabi crops, then they are sown in October, November, and they continue till March, April. If we talk about the examples, then the examples in Kharif season are rice, jowar, any two you can remember, while in Rabi they are wheat, gram, potato, etc. This answer is bit important, which is Kharif crop and Rabi crop difference. So just now, I'm giving you 1 minute time to read the entire difference again from the material itself. Come on, remove it and quickly read it. The difference. Quickly read it for 1 minute. Then we'll move further on the next particular topic, which is improvement in crop yield. Okay, be quick. So let's start on the next particular topic, that is improvement in crop yield. It is basically bifurcated into three parts. Among them, the very first one is the varietal improvement of crop through the genetic manipulation. Next is crop production management, and third part of it is crop protection management. So improvement can be done in the three ways. Among them, the very first part, let us first discuss what is the meaning of the word yield. Yield means how much proportion of uh, food is produced, or the plant, how much proportion of our final output we are getting per square meter. If we compare that, then that is called as the yield, that is the final crop production. So in India, there has been 4 times increase in the production of food grains from 1960 to 2004. In about 40 years, 4 गुना ज़्यादा हम लोग food production कर रहे हैं. However, cultivable land area has increased by only 24%. The yield of a crop can be increased by adopting number of improved agriculture practice, from showing to harvesting, sowing to harvesting, and there are various practices which are properly followed. Among them, the very first one is preparation of the soil. Properly हमको soil prepare करना पड़ता है. Then you have to sow it. Then proper irrigations are needed. Proper manures, fertilizers are needed. If any of this thing is not in adequate amount, then there is a chance of the crop failure. Then weed control, crop protection, harvesting, threshing, winnowing, storage, crop improvement, and the rotation of the crop. All these are the ways by which we can improve the yield, that means the total production of the crop. Coming to the very first one, that is the varietal improvement of crop through genetic manipulation. Now, what is this genetic manipulation, and what is its main reason? The principal aim is to get as many number of desirable and economic characters as possible in one variety. Like, you know, I'll give you one very small example. You get different types of roses, different colors of roses. How is it possible? Ultimately by breeding. Then even there are lemons which taste like orange, because they are like, it is having characteristics of both orange and lemon. So this is how uh, we can get the desired characters, whatever we like, in one particular plant. It aims of the crop improvement are: the first one is developing high yield varieties, improved quality, early and uniform maturity, insensitivity to light and temperature, wider adaptability, lodging, that is the resistant varieties, and desirable agronomic characters. The technique of producing improved varieties of the crop plants by the introduction of several desired characters into them is called as plant breeding. Scientists concerned with the improvement of crop varieties, what are they called as? Plant breeders. Aim of plant breeding, what it is? New varieties of the crop plants. They are having high yield. They have resistance to heat, frost, drought. They are pest resistant. Early maturing varieties. And genetic improvement can be done by properly introducing it, selecting it, and then uh, hybridizing it. Now, let us talk about the introduction. It refers to taking superior varieties of the crop from the natural cultivation, and which uh, where they have never grown earlier. कहाँ पे, जहाँ पे वहाँ पे वो कभी भी ग्रो नहीं किए गए हों, वहाँ पे उसको ग्रो करके देखो. See the changes that are occurring. Selection. Selection can be natural or it can be artificial. It is the process in which economic plants have best desired characters, and they are picked from the given population, and seeds of such plants are used for future cultivation. Example, maize and cabbage are represented by their cultivated varieties only. So that is about the selection. Natural, that means survival of the fittest, and artificial, it is based on the needs and the interest. However we like, the breeding can be done. Next is hybridization. That means breeding of two or more than two particular plants. As I said you, for example, if I want a particular color of rose, then that is also possible. Appropriate way we can use to get the desirable characteristics, and that is by this hybridization. So it means process of crossbreeding of two genetically dissimilar varieties of crop plants. Okay, दो अलग अलग plants है जिनकी दो अलग अलग characteristics है, but we want both of them in one. In that case, breeding can be done, and that is called as hybridization. To obtain a new crop plant that is having both the desired characters, then we can get one plant from it, and that is called as hybridization. You can see the two parents are taken. One is having high desired characteristics like high yield, one is having high desired characteristics like disease resistance. अब ये दोनों अलग अलग वैरायटी में हैं, हम इन दोनों का ब्रीडिंग करके एक वैरायटी बनाते हैं. That is hybridization. That is the plant which will be produced, it will have high yield property also, and as well as it will be disease resistant also. Crop plants introduced in this way, they are called as hybrid varieties or high yielding varieties. If we talk about its different parts, then it is intervarietal, that means between two different varieties. Interspecific, that means two species of the same gene. And intergenetic, that means plants that are belonging to different genes. Green Revolution was a process by which India's production of wheat, rice, maize, and several other food grains was tremendously increased in 1960 and 1970s. India, which was earlier said to carry a begging bowl to the west for food grain, claimed self-sufficiency. Yes, this was the name given to India, begging bowl, because it was not able to produce sufficient amount of food grains. So we were importing food grains, but now we are exporting it. This revolution was due to new agriculture technologies where high yielding hybrid varieties of wheat and rice were grown in India. Fertilizers and pesticides were also used. Irrigation facilities were improved. Dr. M. S. Swaminathan, he is a well known personality for this green revolution. Padma Vibhushan Professor Dr. M. S. Swaminathan, he is called as the father of green revolution in India. He stressed the need for the reorientation of the breeding program, and he dwarfed many varieties in India. He also developed a high yield dwarf variety of wheat, and being a plant genetics, he has contributed to the development of Indian agriculture. So that is about the crop variety improvement. It can be done by introducing the plant, selecting the plant, and by hybridization. So by these ways we can get the proper varieties of the food. The next part is crop production management. That means whatever things the crop from the crop we are getting, it is having many nutrients. Now how is there any plant getting that nutrients? Plant is also taking that nutrients from the soil. Yes, if I talk about soil, then soil is having about uh, 12 to 13 elements, and for any particular plant minimum 16 are needed. 16 तो उसको चाहिए ही, 16 nutrients, and that we are going to talk about in this part, that is crop production management. In order to improve and manage our crop production system, we have to focus on the production on cheaper and farmer friendly approaches, as there is direct co-relationship between the higher yields and input applications. Successful crop production, it depends upon first understanding how crop yields develop and grows, how various factors affect the growth and development of the crops, how each factor can be modified and managed. What are the approaches for crop production? First one is nutrient management, irrigation, and cropping patterns. Cropping patterns are of different types, and we need to discuss that in detail, which is mixed cropping, crop rotation, and intercropping. If I talk about these three methods, then these are one of the important methods which we will discuss just now itself. And as far as important answers are concerned, cropping patterns are one of the very important answer. First one is mixed cropping, crop rotation, and intercropping. What is mixed cropping? Mixed cropping means what? They will directly sow anything anywhere. So here, if it is wheat, here there'll be rice, here there'll be maize, whatever they need. जहाँ जो चीज आई, जहाँ जो गिरा, जहाँ जो उगा, like this, anything will grow anywhere, and together they will sow 2 to 3 crops. That is, it is a mixed cropping technique. Crop rotation. First, a particular amount of crop is grown in a field. Then after 6 months, another crop is grown in the same field. इधर क्या होगा कि एक ही ड्यूरेशन में एक साथ अलग 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 क्रॉप्स, जहाँ जो आया क्रॉपिंग क्रॉप कर दिया. Here crop rotation में for one duration there is a particular type of crop. For the next duration there will be another type of crop. Coming to intercropping. Intercropping is the series of the crops. Suppose one row is over here, one over here. One row over here, one row over here. So in this particular fashion, in this particular way, the crops are grown. Once again, one of the very important answer, that is mixed cropping, crop rotation, and intercropping. In mixed cropping, two or more than two types of crops are grown simultaneously. Here in crop rotation, for 6 months, a particular type of crop is grown, and after that, after 6 months, a next type of crop is grown. If we talk about intercropping, then in intercropping, one row is of one one row is of one particular type of crop, another row is of another particular type of crop. So in this way, various cropping patterns are taking place. Come on, the diagram is drawn over here. Try to write the notes on the types of cropping pattern on your own. As I have explained you, that is what is mixed cropping, what is combination, and what is intercropping. Okay, and soon we'll move further. Kindly draw it and also write it. I'm giving you 2 minutes time for the same. Be quick. Be quick and try to write the answer. Try to draw it quick. So I hope we have completed it. Let's move further on the next part, which is crop production management. In order to improve and manage crops production system, we have to focus on the cheaper and farmer friendly approaches, and there is a direct correlation between high yields and input application. If we talk about successful production, then it depends on understanding how crops develop and grow, how various factors will affect the growth and development of the crops, and how each factor can be modified and managed. Now, what are the approaches for crop production? It includes first of all the nutrients management. As I said, 16 तो बहुत ही essential है. Irrigation, and the next one is the cropping patterns. If we talk about the nutrient management, that is the thing we are going to discuss just now. What is the nutrient management? Plant nutrients are the mineral elements which it needs for growing, uh, for the development, and as well as for the maintenance. Plant is absorbing large number of animals and elements from soil besides water and air, and 16 elements are very much essential. Out of that, 40 elements are present in the plant ash. Now, which are those 16 elements? The 16 elements which are very much necessary are carbon, iron, hydrogen, manganese, oxygen, boron, nitrogen, zinc, phosphorus, copper, potassium, molybdenum, magnesium, chlorine, sulfur, and calcium. These 16 elements are very much essential. Among the 16, one you already know what you are getting from water, H2O, so hydrogen. If we talk about air, then you get oxygen. 21% oxygen is present, and also carbon. The rest 13 from the soil. Okay, again, this is one of the very important part which is necessary for you to memorize. Next is, what are the characteristics of an essential plant nutrient? In the absence of any such element, the plant is notable to complete its life cycle. कोई भी एक एलिमेंट अगर उसको प्रॉपर प्रोपोर्शन में नहीं मिला, तो जैसे हमारी बॉडी में प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं, वैसे उनके ग्रोथ में, उनकी लाइफ में भी प्रॉब्लम होते हैं. Such elements must have the direct influence on the plant nutrients and metabolism. The requirement must be specific and cannot be replaced by any other element, and deficiency can be prevented by supplying the proper nutrient. If we talk about classification, then they are basically classified into two types. The nutrients, they are either macronutrient or micronutrient. मैक्रो मतलब क्या, तो ज़्यादा प्रोपोर्शन में, बहुत ज़्यादा प्रोपोर्शन में जब न्यूट्रिएंट प्रेजेंट हो, ज़्यादा क्वांटिटी में जो चाहिए प्लांट को, दे आर कॉल्ड एज मैक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट, और जो लेस क्वांटिटी में चाहिए, दे आर कॉल्ड एज माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट. They are basically bifurcated into two parts, that is macro and micro. Macro are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur in more quantity. In less quantity, they need iron, manganese, copper, zinc, boron, molybdenum, and chlorine. Out of 16 essential elements, some are required by plants in very large amount. Those are called as macronutrients. And if they are required in very small quantities, then they are called as micronutrients. Deficiency of the nutrients, it will affect the physiological process in the plants. as well as in the reproduction, growth, susceptibility to disease. That means how they are resisting with the disease. To overcome the deficiency of the nutrients, soil can be enriched by adding the manures and fertilizers. Besides this, carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, they are also called as the framework elements. Okay, so one of the topic of improvement in food resources gets finished over here. The next one is about the entire biogeochemical cycle, that is including all things regarding the manure, fertilizers, uh, and the rest part. So let's start on with the next particular part, and that is the second part, and the third part is regarding the animal husbandry. So let's start on the next part. If we talk about this part, that is improvement in food resources, then first we are going to talk about the manures and fertilizers. In your class 8, you have studied about the difference between the manure and fertilizer. Yeah, we are going to move further in detail regarding manure, its types, then fertilizer, its types, and impact of both manure and fertilizer on the plant. So let's start on with the manure. What is manure? It is a mixture of various decomposed organic substances like dead leaves, city garbage, agriculture waste, animal dung, crop residue, etc. The action of microbes, manures, fertilize will increase, and manure will increase the fertility of any particular crop. As they contain large proportion of organic compounds. If we talk about its types, then it is of three types, that is farmyard manure, compost manure, and green manure. Farmyard manure, the name itself suggests that it is a partially decomposed mixture of cattle excreta and the litter, and all the leftover organic matter like roughage, fodder, dead leaves, twigs, and all the material that is daily collected from the cattle sheds, and it is stored in a pit, and by the action of bacteria and fungi and humus, the manure is prepared. It is containing about 5% of nitrogen, 2% of phosphorus oxide, and about 5% of potassium oxide. Next is compost manure. So there are three types of manures. Which one we discuss first? Farmyard manure, that means from all the leftover part. Moving on further on the compost manure, it is a biological decomposition of farm and town refuse. That means the weeds, garbage, crop, stubble, straw, etc. For its formation, about 3 to 6 months are needed, and during that part, aerobic as well as anaerobic decomposition takes place. And what do we get is, if it is farm made up of the farm residues, then it is containing 0.5% of nitrogen and 0.5% of potassium oxide. If it is made up of town refuse, then it is containing 1.4% of nitrogen, 1.4% of potassium oxide, and 1% of phosphorus oxide. Moving on further on the green manure, it is prepared by growing, plowing, and mixing young and green crops of leguminous and non-leguminous plant like barsim, Egyptian clover, sunhemp, and is grown for about 6 weeks, which is plowed into the field in the tender stage. These remains are buried for about 1 to 2 months during the time, and they are completely decomposed. Green manuring, it will reduce the alkalinity and it will prevent the leaching and soil erosion. If we talk about manures, then they don't contain, it is having many disadvantages, that is it does not contain a specific type of nutrient. जैसे कि अगर नाइट्रोजन की ज़रूरत है तो एक्सेस अमाउंट में नाइट्रोजन है वो उसे दिया जाता है नहीं. So fertilizers are needed. For this reason, manures are not much helpful for the case when a specific type of nutrient is needed. Manures are bulky, બહુ વધારે proportion માં હોય. So it is not convenient to store and transport manures. Manures are recycled and they do not cause any kind of pollution. Next is the role of manures. Manures affect soil fertility and crop productivity in three ways. Which are those ways? The very first one is enrich the soil with nutrients. Uh, Being rich in organic matter, manures improve soil texture and soil aeration. Water holding capacity also increases. So that is about manure. These ideas you already have, but it is a part of the syllabus, so we'll go through it. Next is the fertilizers. If we talk about the fertilizers, then fertilizer fertilizers are commercially manufactured inorganic salts. That means human beings are making it, and it is very much important when one particular type of nutrient is needed to the plant, like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. They are generally used for increasing the soil fertility. Moving on further, that is the characteristics. Fertilizers are inorganic or organic compounds which are containing necessary plant nutrients. They contain high amount of nutrients in comparison to manures, and so they are needed in small quantity. They are manufactured commercially from chemicals and are marketed in concentrated form. They are easy to use, store and transport. Being soluble in water, they are easily absorbed by the plants. Fertilizers are generally nutrient specific, that is, only one particular type of nutrient which is needed is provided. If we talk about types of fertilizers, then they are nitrogenous one, phosphatic phosphorus, potassium phosphorus, then mixed, that means among which the very famous one is NPK. So nitrogenous one example is NaNO3, NH4 twice, so 4. These are the different nutrients. NH2CONH2, that is one of the one which is having nitrogen in maximum quantity. NH4NO2, CNO3 twice. Then for phosphatic it is NH4 twice. You don't need to remember. PO4, NH4, H2PO4, CaH2PO4 twice. K2SO4, KCl, KNO3, and PK, nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. Urea, ammonium phosphate, these are also one which are containing high amount of NPK. Now what are hazards of using fertilizers? There are problems when it is used because it will affect the soil quality and ultimately it will bring pollution into the water bodies. If we talk about the soil quality, then yes, plant roots, it will get deprived of oxygen, and so it won't be able to absorb proper proportion of any salt, and soil is more likely to become dry and powdery. If we talk about water, next part, that is water pollution and eutrophication. What is eutrophication? I think you have studied in your class 8. If this is the water body and some proportion of it uh, is on it, if the waste is collected, then desired amount of sunlight won't be able to reach to that particular portion of the water body, and in this way the water body will get problem. Excessive of use of fertilizer, in particular nitrogenous ones, it will cause build up nitrates in the soil. Nitrates as well as phosphates, they are washed by rain and they are carried by lakes, ponds and rivers. And excessive growth of microscopic plants like algae will result in the formation of the blooms, and ultimately it results into the death of the fish and aquatic animals because there will be uh, fungi, algae. Excessive growth of algae will ultimately deprive it from the oxygen content that is needed into the water, and that is eutrophication. And so fertilizers must be carefully used. If we talk about applying fertilizers, then they should be applied before sowing, that is during irrigation, or they should be sprayed on the standing crops, but they should never be applied directly to the soil. It will bring the problem into it will bring problem to the soil if it is applied directly. uh, the next particular part is vermicompost. You already know earthworms, they are called as the farmer's friend, so they are ultimately helping the farmers, and composting with the help of the earthworm, that is called as vermicomposting, it will break down, the worms will break down all the various types of waste. uh, Here is the difference between the manure and fertilizer that I'm saying is very important. important one. Manures are organic natural substances that are derived by decomposition of the biological nutrient, while fertilizers they are inorganic salts. Manures they contain organic matter in large quantities, while organic matter over in the fertilizer is not present. Manure contain the nutrients in less quantity, while fertilizers in more quantity. Manures are not nutrient specific, while fertilizers are nutrient specific. Manures are prepared in fields and villages, while these are manufactured in factories. Manures are bulky substances, so they are convenient to store. Inconvenient to store, while these are in the concentrated form, so they are easy to store and transport. Manures they don't cause pollution, but yes, fertilizers do cause. Biofertilizers are microorganisms which are biologically active, and they are helping uh, the plants. Among them, you are having the legume, which is having Rhizobium symbiosis, Azolla, that is Anabaena symbiosis, free living bacteria, which is Acidobacter, Cyanobacteria, which is Nostoc and Anabaena, and Mycorrhiza, that is symbiotic association of fungi with higher root plants. So that's all for today. In our next particular session, we are going to move further on the next particular topic, which is organic farming. We'll discuss irrigation, cropping patterns, that is discussed. After that, we have crop protection management, and the animal has been repaired. So that much part is left out for this lesson. If we talk about important lesson, then all the important basic four lessons are over. This is a simple reading lesson, so we are going a bit fast. Be with us, stay with us. That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening to me and have a very good day. Bye.